The house at 42 Maple Street was a picture of suburban peace, nestled among rows of similar homes where children played on the sidewalks and neighbors exchanged friendly waves in the golden light of late afternoon. It was a classic two-story colonial, its welcoming yellow facade and crisp white shutters standing out as a beacon of warmth and comfort. The windows gleamed in the sunlight, and birds often perched on the roof, as if drawn to the tranquility below. In the front yard, a sturdy old oak tree stretched its branches wide, cradling a simple wooden swing that swayed gently in the breeze. On weekends, the sound of children's laughter would echo as they took turns soaring through the air, their joy filling the quiet street. The lawn was meticulously cared for, bordered by vibrant flower beds that bloomed with color in every season. Bees buzzed lazily from blossom to blossom, and butterflies danced above the petals, adding to the sense of harmony that seemed to envelop the house. Inside, the illusion of a happy home was frozen in time. The living room was cozy, filled with vintage decor and sunlight streaming through lace curtains. Family photos lined the shelves, capturing smiles and celebrations from years gone by. The kitchen was alive with memories, children's artwork proudly displayed on the fridge, each drawing a testament to the creativity and innocence that once filled the rooms. On the counter, a half-finished jigsaw puzzle waited patiently, its scattered pieces hinting at a family tradition of quiet evenings spent together, searching for the perfect fit. But on a cold November night, this sanctuary was shattered. The peaceful facade was pierced by the wail of sirens and the harsh glare of police lights, transforming the home into a crime scene that would haunt the neighborhood for years to come. The warm, inviting lights were replaced by the cold, clinical flash of police cameras. Investigators moved through the rooms, searching for answers, their presence a stark reminder that even the safest places can harbor darkness. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors gathered in disbelief, comforting one another as news crews arrived and questions swirled. The sense of safety they had always taken for granted was gone, replaced by fear and uncertainty. The Miller family's story became a heartbreaking lesson in ignored warning signs and hidden secrets. Their smiling portrait, once a symbol of happiness, now served as a silent reminder of what had been lost. Behind the perfect facade, a storm had been gathering for years, one that no one had noticed until it was too late. The warning signs had been subtle, easy to dismiss, but their consequences were devastating. In the aftermath, the quietest homes seemed to hold the loudest cries for help. The street, once filled with laughter and life, now felt heavy with unspoken grief and unanswered questions. The silence that followed was more terrifying than any scream. It lingered in every empty room, a chilling reminder that beneath even the most perfect exteriors, darkness can hide. And sometimes, it's the silence that speaks the loudest. To everyone in Crestwood, the Millers seemed to be the embodiment of the perfect family. Mark, a successful architect whose blueprints shaped the very skyline of their town, was admired for his dedication and work ethic. He was the kind of man who always had a reassuring smile and a firm handshake, the neighbor you could count on for advice or a helping hand. Emily, his wife, was equally respected. As a beloved teacher, she inspired generations of children, filling her classroom with warmth, laughter, and encouragement. Parents trusted her, students adored her, and colleagues looked up to her as a role model. Their two children, Hannah and Ben, seemed to mirror their parents' happiness. They played together in the backyard, their laughter echoing through the neighborhood, and their candid moments with their parents painted a picture of pure joy and unity. The Millers were always present at community events, barbecues, bike rides, and volunteer drives. They were the family everyone admired, the ones who seemed to have it all together, living out the American dream in their cozy suburban home. But beneath this flawless exterior, the truth was far more complicated. The perfect portrait was just that, a carefully constructed image, a facade that hid a much darker reality. When the doors closed and the curtains were drawn, the smiles faded away. The laughter that once filled the house was replaced by silence, and the warmth that radiated in public turned cold and distant. The image they projected to the world was a shield, a way to protect themselves from prying eyes. But inside, the foundation of their family was riddled with deep cracks, resentments, secrets, and unspoken pain that threatened to tear them apart. The secrets they kept weighed heavily on each of them. As the pressure mounted, the perfect picture they worked so hard to maintain began to warp and distort, threatening to shatter at any moment. To their neighbors and friends, the Millers remained the model family, always smiling, always together, always happy. No one suspected the storm that was quietly gathering within their home. Every public appearance was a performance, every smile carefully rehearsed. The Millers' life was a meticulously curated display of normalcy, hiding the truth that threatened to break them apart. The first crack appeared when Mark lost his job, a blow to his pride and identity. At home, he became a different man, his friendly demeanor replaced by resentment. Emily tried to remain positive, but her optimism was met with Mark's growing anger. The tension in the house became suffocating, conversations replaced by silence. The children felt the shift, walking on eggshells around their father. Arguments grew more frequent, late-night whispers seeping through the walls. Emily begged Mark to get help, but he refused, seeing her pleas as attacks. The love that once defined their marriage was eroded by bitterness and blame. The home on Maple Street became a prison of silent suffering. Mark's despair turned into volatile anger, fueled by alcohol and paranoia. He believed Emily was plotting against him, his perception dangerously skewed. Verbal abuse escalated, and Mark's anger lashed out in front of the children. Emily felt trapped, isolated from friends and family, afraid to leave. Mark's remorseful periods gave Emily false hope, but the cycle always repeated. The warning signs were there, hidden behind their perfect life. Neighbors dismissed shouting as normal, and teachers overlooked Ben's anxiety. Emily was too ashamed to speak up, and the community believed the illusion. Silence allowed Mark's demons to grow, consuming him completely. On the cold, quiet night of November 1st, 2025, an uneasy stillness settled over the Miller house. The air was thick with tension, a feeling that had been building for weeks, maybe even months, behind closed doors. The Miller family, once the picture of suburban happiness, was now teetering on the edge of something unthinkable. That night, everything changed forever. Upstairs, the children huddled together, their small faces pale with fear, as their parents' voices echoed through the hallway. The argument grew louder, words sharp and angry, until suddenly there was a chilling silence, a silence so heavy it seemed to press against the walls. The children held their breath, sensing that something terrible was about to happen. Next door, Martha Jennings, their longtime neighbor, sat by her window, listening with growing concern. When the silence was shattered by the unmistakable sound of gunshots, her hands shook as she dialed 911, her voice trembling as she pleaded for help. She could hardly believe what she was reporting, violence in the house she'd always thought of as safe. Within minutes, the quiet street was flooded with flashing red and blue lights. Police cars screeched to a halt outside the Miller home, officers moving quickly and cautiously. The house was dark, except for a single light glowing in the living room window, casting long shadows across the lawn. Inside, they found Mark Miller sitting on the living room floor, his face eerily calm. A handgun lay on the carpet beside him, as if it had simply slipped from his hand. He didn't resist or try to run. Instead, he stared straight ahead, lost in his own world, as the officers approached. When the police asked what had happened, Mark barely looked up. In a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "I fixed it. They're quiet now." His words sent a chill through the room, the meaning sinking in with horrifying clarity. The officers moved through the house, their footsteps echoing in the darkness. What they found was a scene of unspeakable horror. Emily and the children, lifeless, their lives stolen in an instant. The home that had once been filled with laughter and love was now silent, the air heavy with grief and disbelief. The Miller house, once a symbol of family and warmth, had become a tomb. Family photos on the walls seemed to watch over the empty rooms, silent witnesses to the tragedy that had unfolded within. Perhaps the most disturbing part was Mark's complete detachment. He showed no emotion, no regret, only a cold certainty, as if he truly believed he had solved a problem rather than destroyed his family. The depth of his disconnection left everyone who saw him deeply unsettled. In the days that followed, the community gathered in shock and mourning. Neighbors placed flowers and candles outside the Miller home, struggling to make sense of the tragedy. The loss left a scar that would never fully heal, a reminder that even the quietest streets can hide the darkest secrets. Mark's words sent chills down the officers' spines. As they secured him, others moved through the silent house, discovering the horror. Emily lay in the kitchen, the children's drawings above her a painful contrast. Upstairs, Hannah and Ben were found in their beds, their rooms a grotesque lie. The house was a memorial to a horror that should never have happened. Mark remained eerily calm, showing no remorse or emotion. In his twisted mind, he believed he had fixed a problem. The community was left to grapple with the tragedy behind closed doors. Investigators found Mark's journal, a dark chronicle of his descent into madness. It revealed his growing resentment toward Emily and his delusions of betrayal. The journal detailed escalating abuse, both emotional and psychological. Mark's entries showed a man justifying unthinkable acts, planning the final weeks. He saw his family as the source of his pain, the only solution being silence. The journal was a roadmap to murder, revealing premeditation and missed opportunities. It was a silent scream for help that went unheard. The tragedy was not random, but the conclusion of a long pattern of abuse. It was a testament to the deadly consequences of refusing help. Mark Miller's trial captivated the nation, the courtroom packed with people seeking answers. The prosecution presented a powerful case, with Mark's journal as the centerpiece. They argued it was a planned execution, not a momentary loss of control. Mark's defense claimed he suffered a psychotic break, unable to distinguish right from wrong. The jury struggled to accept this in light of the brutal crime. Mark's testimony revealed his grief, but it came too late to sway the jury. After 4 hours of deliberation, they returned a guilty verdict on all counts. The trial brought legal closure but left deep wounds in the community. The tragedy forced a re-evaluation of the warning signs of domestic violence. The guilty verdict brought closure, but the wounds in Crestwood remained. The house on Maple Street became a somber landmark, a reminder of hidden dangers. The tragedy forced a new awareness of the secrets behind perfect facades. It highlighted the warning signs of domestic violence and mental health crises. The Miller story teaches us to take these signs seriously and intervene. Reaching out can be a lifeline, breaking the cycle of abuse and despair. The legacy of the Millers must be one of action, erasing stigma and encouraging help. We must look beyond perfect portraits and listen for silent cries for help. Silence can be deadly, but a single voice can save a life.